Hello there, Pisces. Thank you so much for stopping by for your monthly in-depth tarot video forecast. This forecast is for the month of September, but instead of just looking at energies for the whole, 30 days, 31 days, the whole 30 days, I do like to break this down. So we've got 4 equal or pretty much equal parts in September. What we're going to be looking at for the first energies is going to be September the 1st through the 8th. And then we'll look at 3 other sections as we go through the month. That way you can get more of a sense of how this energy flows through. I like to do this. I think it gives us more of a heads up of what's coming. We can kind of catch it if we're going into cycles that we want to break. We can kind of see those coming down the road so we can choose to use our free will and do something about it. And we just get more of a heads up about things than what we do if we just look at the month as a whole. So that's why I do it like this. I just want it to be something that is, more helpful for everybody than just looking at the overall month as a whole. There's a lot that happens astrologically in a month. There's a lot that happens to us in a month. I just think we need to look at a lot of different energies during that time frame to get really a true picture of what we need to know. So anyway, that's my soapbox. I'll get down now. We've got cards on the table. Let's take a peek at your environment during the portion of the month from September 1st through the 8th. What you need to know about environment when you're listening to a reading that I'm doing is that environment is a place where you have energy or effort invested. For most people, it usually comes up as home, but you do want to have your mind open to the idea that it could be somewhere else where you have energy or effort invested that shows up in a reading as well. So Pisces, it looks to me like you're really actually enjoying your environment, and it looks to me like you're getting over some kind of situation that really impacted how your environment felt before in a negative way. You're moving past that situation right now and coming into a better situation. So I'm liking that. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going into a better environment, but you could have, but it also many times just means that you're changing something in the environment that was detrimental into something that is actually good for you. All right, and I really have a strong sense of that because the third card that I'm looking at here talks about really not being so generous with somebody who you were being generous with in your environment in the hopes that that would give them a leg up or that would move things forward in some way. But you were seeing that instead of this generosity actually helping this person or this group of people, it's actually making them more dependent on you. And so you're cutting out that generosity at this point. And so it may be that you're cutting out that generosity towards somebody that was just becoming more and more dependent on you is what's actually making an improvement in the environment and making it to where you can actually enjoy your environment now. All right, let's look next at your subconscious leanings, Pisces. La, da, 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 da. These are kind of the background programs running in our mind. Okay, so what I'm seeing is there's somebody in your sphere of influence, maybe more than one somebody in your sphere of influence, who is trying to suck you into some kind of dramatic situation, and they want you to choose sides. They want you to decide, which person is really right, them or the other person. For some of you, this is actually more about politics, literally, than anything else. This could be somebody that votes more Democratic or somebody who votes more Republican, and they're trying to get you to go along with the way that they see things. And this may be really uber important to them. We do have a lot of highly charged political conversations happening for the last few years, at least, maybe longer. And I think what's going on is you're not getting sucked into that situation. You don't want to be in a highly charged conversation. You don't want to be in this big dramatic debate. You're saying, thank you for your opinion, and now I have mine, and I don't really feel the need to discuss it or make a big gory deal out of it. And now I'm going to move on with my life. This is kind of how I see you. You're just not getting sucked into that drama no matter how much the other person really, 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 really wants you to. Okay? You've got a lot of clarity around these issues where the drama is happening. Now, it won't be politics for all of you, but I think it's for quite a few of you. But whatever this is, whether it's politics or something that's more directly personal, you have a lot of clarity around this issue. You have a very good understanding of this issue, and you're very secure in the idea that you don't need to be involved in the drama. So I feel like you're not even tempted here to get sucked into some hot debate or argument at all. You feel very comfortable with your position. You don't feel like you need to justify it or defend it at all. And that's what we have going on in your subconscious leanings. Next thing I'm looking at talks to me about learning style and then also communication style. But we're going to look at learning first. That's interesting. It looks like there's somebody in your environment or in your sphere of influence who is running scared. And I think you're learning a lot from watching how they are behaving in this situation. And not only how they're behaving, but how other people are reacting to their behavior. I don't feel like you're directly involved in this particular situation. I feel like you're an observer, you're watching, you're seeing things, and I think you're learning a lot from seeing things, maybe about the character of some of the people in your sphere of influence. Maybe about just how people work in general and the psychology of what makes people tick. But you are learning through watching this situation where somebody is running scared and it's causing reactions in other people in their sphere of influence. Something else that's happening. I think your intuition is really growing and getting stronger during this time frame. And so learning about how to use your intuition and strengthen that, yes. But also, when your intuition is getting stronger, what are we getting? We're getting messages from spiritual realm. And so I think you are learning some things, number one, about spiritual realm, but also from spiritual realm as well during this time frame. And I think you're picking up some intelligence or some strategies about how to do certain things that I think you've been doing for a while, but how to do them in smarter ways than what you've done before. Let's look at your communication style next. It looks to me like there are some people that you're communicating with during this particular time frame that I think you're quiet with them most of the time unless you feel really interested. I'm hearing that maybe even baited, that people may be baiting you to try to get a reaction from you, or at least one particular person during this time frame. I don't think they get much reaction from you most of the time, but every once in a while they may get a pretty strong reaction from you. A lot of your communication during this time frame is very reflective. So this means you could be reflecting a lot on yourself, but more what I'm getting is that you're sort of holding up the mirror to somebody who is communicating with you. And I feel like this is probably somebody who is close to you. So, you know, they may be telling you about different situations, and you're doing something that is more active listening rather than problem solving. You're kind of letting them problem solve, but you are listening. And so you may be saying back to them, well, you say that your issue is da 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 da. What do you think the solution to that might be? Or, but you say your issue is da 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 da, but you say that this solution won't help anything. Am I hearing you correctly? That type of thing, because when your communication comes up as reflective, you're not necessarily injecting new information as much as you're reflecting back to the other person to help them sort of hear or see what it is that they're saying so that they have a chance to really reflect on why they're going down the path they're going communication-wise. What else do we have? have? What else do we have? I think that a lot of your communication during this particular time frame, Pisces, first of all, I see you doing a lot of listening and not much talking. Kind of saw that before with the person who was baiting you, but this is in another situation. There's a lot of listening. You're paying a lot of attention to what's going on. And I get the sense that when you talk, when it comes to this particular person or energy, when you talk, it's very direct, it's very to the point, and nobody can miss what you're saying. You may even polish this up with a little bit of sarcasm as you're delivering it. Okay? All right. Next, let's look at work, Pisces. La da 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 la da da da. What's going on? There's a lot of confusion at work. There's a lot of confusion at work. It looks like you're giving work a second chance. Did they fire you and now they're saying, oh, Pisces, we need you back so badly. We'll quadruple your pay. Don't think they're offering to quadruple your pay. I don't think you necessarily lost your job and they're asking you back either, but I do think that there's somebody at work that has kind of crossed the line with you. And I do think that you're giving them a second chance. You're just kind of waiting to see, are they going to figure that this is a problem, or are they going to be like just moseying on through as if no big deal? I do think you're kind of sitting back and watching. You're giving them a second chance, but I kind of have the sense that they don't realize that what they're getting here is a second chance. As far as your inner work, you don't like this feeling of confusion at all, Pisces. And you're a water sign. You're highly intuitive, so it's not really normal for those of us who are water signs to feel confused. We're usually the ones who know things are going to happen before they actually happen. So you're not liking this confusion. And I think what you're doing is you're giving yourself some time to let the answers sort of come to the surface. I think it feels to me like you're not feeling very objective about some of these things that you're confused about, and you're kind of trying to detach and get some space so that you can really understand what's going on. You want to be more objective and less in the middle of it. And so I think you're really working, your inner work is to try to get to this place of detachment so that you can figure out what is really happening without being attached to a particular outcome. As if you can't get to that place, that confusion continues. Let's look at that part of your personality that's growing or expanding right now. Woo, baby. There's a lot of talk here, and this talk really has to do with the idea of breaking up a partnership. I'm not sure if this is a romantic partnership or a business partnership. Could be a friendship too, I guess. But there's a lot of talk about breaking this partnership up because you guys haven't really been on the same page for a while. And what's interesting here is I don't see this kind of talk making you unhappy. I think the more you guys about this, the more you're thinking within yourself, you know, if we did break this partnership up, I could go off and do this thing, or I could go off and participate in this, or, you know, you have some ideas about some things that you could do if you weren't a part of this partnership. And I think the more you guys talk about breaking this partnership up, the more excited you're getting about that idea. Okay, Pisces, next we're looking at those things that you stand for. You've been manifesting really well. You have been manifesting really well, and I think you're pretty good at manifesting in general. But there's something going on here with your attitude that is giving you a hard time right now. It looks to me like you've taken some time to be alone and to really understand yourself better, what your priorities are and what it is that you want out of life. And as you're coming out of that alone time, I think that you're realizing that where your standards are, as far as what you want from people in your sphere of influence or from your work situation or whatever, wherever this is where you've set priorities, as you're coming out of that, even though you've been manifesting very well, you're realizing that it may not be all that easy to manifest what you want because you have high expectations. Now, and I think you're defending this belief too, but I'm going to say something that people who know about the law of attraction or are manifesting energetically with the law of attraction will tell you that it's just as easy to manifest a castle as it is a button. So just because your standards are high, I'm telling you, don't get discouraged just because your standards about what you want in your life are high. Doesn't have to be harder just because of that. I think you feel like it does. I'm here to tell you it doesn't. So anyway, you've stood up for this belief that yes, it's going to be harder because you have higher standards. The other person that you have stood up for this belief too, they feel like you don't really have a plan. And they feel like you're missing somebody. And like you would, in a heartbeat, give that thing a second chance if you could. La da 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 da. La da da da. La da 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 da. I'm not really expanding on that because I just don't feel like there's really any gray areas there to talk about or dig into deeper. What we're going to look at next is flex time. What happens during the flex time for this time frame? This is kind of where things start to shift a little and change direction. I think you do manifest somebody into your life that you have a lot of feelings for. And I think that by bringing this person in, manifesting this person in, I think that you feel really victorious. But I want to caution you, there's something toxic going on here. So this almost feels to me like you have some kind of cycle going with this person. And when they go away, you miss them. And then you try to bring them back. And then when you bring them back, you feel happy because you brought them back. But now you're dealing with all this toxic stuff. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing the continuation of a cycle. I don't remember what we had coming up for you in August, if the cycle showed up there or not, but this definitely smells like a continuation to me. What else is going on during this flex time where things start to change direction? First of all, I am going to say that there is somebody keeping a very close eye on you. They may just be very possessive, but they know everything about you, and especially when it comes to money. They know exactly how much money you're making, how much you're bringing in. They may even be getting offended when they think you're spending a little too much. And I think that you are, this person is in your sphere of influence prior to where I'm seeing them just now during this flex time. And I think you're keeping them in your sphere of influence. But I don't think you're very happy about how they have such good tabs on your money. I think they are very observant of everything you do. But I think the money part is the part that kind of annoys you or makes you uncomfortable. What else is going on during this time frame? La da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da 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 da, la da da da. Is this the same person or somebody different? Okay. So you've got somebody different during the same time frame that is in your sphere of influence who you're starting to see their true colors. I feel like for a lot of you Pisces, this is actually somebody that you would consider a friend. And as you're seeing their true colors, you're kind of coming to the point where you're saying, you know, I don't know how much of a friend I consider them anymore. It looks to me like they've done something that makes you feel like they've betrayed you. And so you're sort of taking some time away from them. I don't think that you want them to know all your personal information. It feels to me like they gossiped to you about you, and gossiped about you to somebody who could use that information against you. And so you're not all that thrilled with that person. I think that you're very aware that that person knew that sharing that kind of information with the other person could be detrimental to you, and they did it anyway. So you're not feeling really comfortable around that person. You're certainly not feeling like opening up around them. So where are we seeing you at the end of the week? Okay. There are some things going on where somebody's trying to pull something sneaky on you, and you're very much aware of it. Okay? And I think you're not really saying much. You're just kind of letting this person do whatever they need to do because in your mind you're figuring, well, this shows me what they're really like. Like if I say something and then they correct their behavior, well, that's fake. I want to see what this person is really up to. How far are they going to take this? And I think that you're a little dismayed with how far they continue to take this. And by the end of the time frame, I think you're walking away from this person who is taking advantage of you in a way that they think is secret. But you actually know what's up. I think you're walking away from this situation with that person. I think you're really disappointed too that they would take advantage of you as much as they did. Okay? So that's this first time frame. Let me go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to take a break, then we'll come back and we'll look at the second time frame for the month. Thanks for being here, guys. Okay, Pisces, here we are. Are you ready? Are you ready for me? We're looking at September the 9th through the 16th this time. We're going to see what kind of energies come up. What's going on in your world at that time? That's what we want to know. Oh, we just lost a card. We're going to put that down. We're going to take it. Flip down. Oh, you guys got a big bunch of flippers. We're going to take those. But I'm not ready to stop shuffling, so we're going to keep shuffling. I like it when cards flip out. I take them as an emphatic or enthusiastic message from Spirit when the cards actually flip out before it's time for them to be pulled off the top of the deck. Okay, we're ready. We've got cards on the table. Let's look at your environment for this time frame, Pisces. Showing a lot of confusion when it comes to your environment, and this confusion has to do with how well the environment is actually supporting you. And it looks to me like you're feeling like the environment could support you so much better. If we're talking about a workplace, this is how well is that workplace paying? There's a lot of confusion here about what on earth is going on here. If this is at home, this could be that the environment is just not supporting you very well. Maybe the neighbors are getting all crazy and you can't sleep at night. That there's something going on here. There's a lot of confusion too around this idea of not being supported very well and of knowing that you definitely could be, that support is not living up to its potential. And so this is not the way this comes in. There's still a lot of confusion around it. I don't see it necessarily being resolved during the time frame from the 9th to the 16th, but I definitely see a problem being identified. And I think you're looking at, okay, where are the roots of that problem? Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings during this time frame. Okay, so it looks like you're really focused on making your budget work. You want to be bringing in enough cash flow to cover all your expenses. You want to make sure that you're not overspending in some areas so that so that you're not balanced, so that you have everything coming in that needs to come in to cover everything for your budget. Now, this is subconscious leaning, and your subconscious is really focused on that. At the same time, it looks to me like you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed and out of ideas about making your money actually fit your budget, or your budget actually fit your money. So I think you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. You may have more expenditures here than you have coming in, and this is a problem. And so your subconscious is working on, okay, what are some ideas to get me out of this situation and into the black again? All right. Next thing, Pisces, that we're looking at talks to me about learning style and also communication style. You do have a lot of clarity coming in. I'm glad to see that, especially with all that confusion that we had around the environment. The clarity showing up is really good. So there's truth coming up. I think that you are learning a lot during this time frame just because you're curious about it and you want to know, although what you're learning may be pretty vague or general. It may not be information that you're ready to just, hit the road with and start working with, but you're getting some general ideas about some things just because you're curious about them. I don't think that this is stuff that you have to know the specifics of right now. I think it's just stuff that you're interested in. And I do see you building on some information that you already have. I feel like a lot of this is professional that you're building on, or you're building on it in a professional way. So there's a lot of information that you already have, and now you're just adding to that information, especially when it comes to either professional skills or just things that you need to know as a part of your profession or your professional life. La, da, 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 da. Let's look at communication for you during this particular time frame. There is a lot of communication for you, and I think you have a lot of people around you who care about you, and there is communication about that. You could have a big family or a big support network that you're communicating with right now. La da 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 da. You guys could even be planning some kind of family reunion. Maybe you're doing one digitally, video, I don't know. That could be coming up. I just feel like there's a lot of characters around you that you're communicating your feelings with, and they're communicating their feelings to you. La, da, 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 da. There's also some kind of communication about planning, something that you're putting together or planning. I think you may be asking others to help you with some of those plans. Or you could actually even be helping somebody else with some plans. But there's a lot of communication going on about plans for the future. La, da, 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 da. And I get this sense of this idea about setting down roots or becoming more solid with something, becoming more embedded in some type of situation. And I think there's some communication about that as well. All right, next thing that we're looking at, Pisces, has to do with work. What do we see here? I think you really want to be careful, Pisces, during this time frame about the information that's coming to you, especially around work or work topics or at work, because it looks to me like you're getting a hold of some information that is false, and I think may even be maliciously false. So whatever information that you have, make sure that you're double checking and triple checking that, because I feel like this information that you're getting in that's false, I think that somebody is giving this to you intentionally or maliciously, knowing that it is going to start a fight or a debate between yourself and somebody else. And I think that if you're not double checking and triple checking your information before you act on it, you're going to end up feeling really bad and really regretful about something that you may say or some action that you may take based on that false information. So in other words, if you get in some information, don't take any action on it right away until you've had a chance to really check it out and make sure that what you have been given is really the whole story or the real deal. Okay. La da da da. You don't want to take any action based on lies or illusions. Next thing that we're looking at tells me about that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded during this particular time frame. It looks like you do have some kind of serious goal or target that you're working on with somebody else, something that you are looking at as a long-term type goal or target, something that you're making plans for. What I'm seeing here, Pisces, is that you have this goal or target. You're not quite sure how you and this other person are going to get from where you are to where you want to be. Okay? I don't think that that is keeping you from working on this. I just think that there has to be, you know, this is going to have to be filled in a little bit along the way. So maybe you're taking some acts of faith or a leap of faith here, waiting to see what the next move is going to be. Because I think logically you haven't got the next move just figured out yet. But I don't see that as keeping you from moving towards this target or goal, you know, or at least taking that first step towards it and seeing where that leads you. Where's the next step going to be coming in? Okay. Now, la da 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 da, looking at things that you stand for. You do have a lot on your plate right now, and it looks to me like you're feeling like even though you have a lot on your plate, like you're just not feeling like everything is okay financially, like you're just not feeling secure. You're feeling like you're running on a treadmill, running on a treadmill, running on a treadmill, and it's not really moving you forward. And I think that there's somebody that you're talking to about this. Maybe you have a financial advisor, or maybe this is just a friend or somebody close to you, but there's somebody that I think you sort of pretend to the rest of the world that, well, everything is fine. You know, like if you're working 3 jobs, shouldn't everything be fine financially? Wouldn't that be the supposition? And I think you're talking to somebody and you're saying, man, everything is not fine. That's why I'm working like 3 jobs and I want to find a 4th or a 5th one as well. I feel like I'm killing myself here and I'm not getting ahead. And so I think you're talking to somebody, you're sharing that with someone, and then there's somebody else that comes to you and says, why would you tell them that? Why would you say anything to that? This could be a partner or a spouse, a significant other that's like, why are you putting our dirty laundry on Front Street? What's up? You know, doesn't have to be that person, but there's definitely somebody saying, why would you possibly share that with that particular person? So you're defending that. And how this other person feels about you. They feel like you're pretty happy, you're pretty satisfied, you're pretty fulfilled. Now obviously this information that you shared with somebody says you're frustrated. I'm not sure why they're feeling like, what are they seeing when they look at you? I don't know. They're also feeling like your energy is scattered in a bunch of different directions, and they feel like this is something that you like, that this is something that keeps you fresh and keeps you happy and keeps you excited by, you know, doing all these different things. You know, I was joking about how many different jobs you have, but maybe you do have multiple jobs. Maybe you do wear multiple hats, and maybe that is what keeps you fresh and feeling satisfied and fulfilled. Maybe you like that change up, that every day is not the same as the last day. At the same time, what I'm seeing here though is that you're really frustrated about the idea that you are doing so much stuff and yet you don't really have the security to show for everything that you're doing, all the energy that you're putting out here. Okay, let's look at the flex point during this particular time frame, or the place where things start to move in a little different direction and the energy begins to shift. So you do have some new clarity coming in around a particular idea, and so you are starting something new as a leap of faith, and as you're starting that new thing, you're letting go of something that was old, that was dragging you down. So this is way cool. This could be that you're walking away from a job that wasn't paying you enough and you're starting a whole new job. This can be about spending time with somebody who might be a little bit toxic and now spending time with somebody who's different, who is more supportive. But this that clarity has brought this change. You having a new understanding about something has helped you to make this change moving forward and getting away from something that's negative to allow you the opportunity to start something new and see where that's going to take you. What do we have happening at the same time? You're definitely making a decision here, and you're making a decision about a goal or a target that you have, and it looks to me like you may not have wanted to admit that this was a goal or a target before, or you may have been trying to get to this goal or target in a more roundabout way so that people wouldn't really see what it was that you were shooting for. But now you're just coming clean. You're just saying, you know what, maybe this is a big dream and maybe this is impossible, but this is what I'm going for. And you're making that decision to step off the cliff and do that. Okay? Now, what else is going on at the same time? Okay, Pisces, look at this. Look at this. You guys are independent. You guys are self-sufficient. You're the one. You're the one. You're relying on yourself here. And I think that, you may have offers coming in. People may want to join up with you for joint ventures, or maybe they want to join up with you partnership-wise. And you're like, nah, I got this. Okay? So if you have financial worries, I think you also have financial plans about how you're moving forward. And you're being very picky about who you're working together with, whether it's romantically or whether it's business-wise. You're being picky about this. And I think what you have going on here is you know what you can do. You know what you're capable of. And I think your fear is that if you let somebody else into this situation, then that may throw the whole plan, that person may be more of a liability than an asset. And I think you're feeling like right now you can't afford a liability. And so to be on the safe side, you're putting up that barrier. No, I've got this. Okay? Now, towards the end of this time frame, where do we see you guys, Pisces? You guys may be at a family reunion. I think I saw that earlier, the possibility of that. There's definitely somebody who is coming back into your sphere of influence from the past. For a lot of you, I do feel like this is from your childhood. And I feel like this is a visit. This is a they show up and they're not staying. This is a they show up and you talk about the old memories and then they're gone again. And I think you're fine with that. I think you enjoy those memories. I think they're fantastic. But I think also at the same time, you don't want a whole lot of distraction right now. You're totally fine with somebody showing up, you guys having an evening out maybe where you just talk about old times. Maybe you go to a family reunion and you're talking about old times or whatever. But you're really driven right now, Pisces. What's really in the forefront of your mind is business, 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 business. I want to take care of business. I want to take care of business. You're not allowing anything to distract you for long term here. So this person or group from the past comes in. They maybe take up a few hours of your time, maybe an evening. Then they're gone. You're fine with that. You're fine with that because you're focused on other things right now. You're not focused on the past. You're not focused on even renewing the past. You're focused on business, Pisces. Let's take care of some business. Okay? So that is the end of this time frame. Let me go ahead and wrap this up and I'll come back and then we'll look at your third quarter of September here in a couple minutes. Thanks for being here, guys. Welcome back, Pisces. Next thing we're looking at is going to be September 17th through the 23rd. Third quarter of September. See what's going on in your world. You guys have cards falling like crazy again. Not used to having clumps of cards fall. What's going on, guys? And that's the second time for y'all. Most of the time, not any cards fall. Every once in a while that'll happen, but you guys have big clumps. think I want to shuffle some more before I put more down. Yeah. You guys are really reaching for some independence of some type during this time frame. Seems like it's just a little bit out of reach for you, unless this card shows up again. There's some independence that you're reaching for during this time frame in some way that's just not quite happening. All right, let's look at your environment. See what's going on here. Okay. So I remember last time we were looking at your environment, there was some kind of situation that you were dealing with. Here I'm still not sure you have exactly the answer you want as you're dealing with your environment, but you are putting things back to the way they used to be in a way as a means of getting things back on track. And I think that there's something that is about this that has to do with the cosmetics of things with your environment. It has to do with how things look, with the aesthetics there. And I feel like it just seems to me like whatever this was that happened kind of messed with how things look. And so going back to this old way actually sort of, I don't know that it's exactly the long-term solution that you're looking for, but I think it does make things look better, at least for now. This seems like a temporary fix to me, but it seems like there's something about the aesthetics that going back to the way something in your environment used to be helps. All right, let's look at your subconscious leanings during this time frame. Aww. So it looks like you guys are dreaming of some kind of partnership or some kind of domestic partnership. So something to do with family or with a romantic partner. And you're imagining, you know, what would that be like? What would that be like? What would be the ideal domestic partnership for me? What would be the ideal family situation or the ideal situation between myself and a life partner, a romantic partner? And it looks like your subconscious is really exploring, you know, what would be the best possible situation for you and how do you get from where you are right now into that best possible situation. Next, we're going to look at learning style for you right now. You may be learning something in a classroom situation, and the only reason I say that is I think that you're learning something along with somebody else or with other people. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in a classroom situation, but whatever it is you're learning as a part of a group experience, whether that group is 2 people or 53 people or whatever. There's something here that as part of a group you're learning some kind of information. And I think, yeah, your group may even be a group of people that you consider friends. Could be friends or colleagues, definitely. And then there is also this whole idea, once again, of learning because of curiosity and just getting some vague ideas about some things, not necessarily information that you could use in everyday life, and just finding that out just because it's something that you're curious about and, you know, just looking for that. I started to pick up these cards, but before I do that, I do want to look at your communication style because that also shows up in this set of cards. It's interesting. I have you as communicating as a part of a group for some of your communication during this time frame. So maybe you're in the middle of some kind of union negotiations, or maybe you are putting out promotional materials as part of an event where you're not the only person that is being promoted. But there's some kind of communication that you're putting out as a part of a group. Yeah, I'm getting that actually off of these cards. And then the other thing that I have showing up as far as your communication is that you're trying, as you're communicating, to really highlight the good stuff and pay much more attention to the good stuff than to anything that's negative. La da 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 da. Next thing that we're looking at has to do with work for you Pisces during this time frame, the 17th through the 23rd. You may be taking a break from work, or you may be walking away from work. Either way, I do see you putting down some responsibilities that you would normally carry in that area, and where normally you would be going 15,000 different directions at work. I see things really slowing down and calming down. I see your energy being less scattered. It looks like you may be training somebody or advising somebody. So maybe you're not on vacation, but maybe you're in a position where you're training or advising somebody who is coming into some type of situation, and so you're coaching or advising them. And I do think that whatever this is, whether you're training, coaching, advising, whatever this is, passing along good information to somebody else, I do think that while you're doing this, you're not doing your normal work responsibilities. Okay? Now, let's look at inner work. Your inner work is really to be still and listen. This is about meditation or hearing from the divine. You know, to slow down enough to be able to hear from the divine. You know, I'm getting a strong nudge to say, so I know this is going to apply to at least one of you, to meditate before you drink that coffee and get your mind all amped up. Take some time to meditate in the morning before you get that morning routine in full swing. You know, make meditation that first part of your morning routine. Then it'll be easier for you to be in full swing. I would say some of you may not even need your coffee after that, but I can already hear how that would go over. I hear you guys protesting that whole thought. Anything else they need to know about inner work? Nope, we've actually really covered everything that came up there. All right, next thing that we want to look at talks about that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded during this time frame, Pisces. So what do we have? First of all, I'm going to say you have come through a situation which has made you question yourself and question your own capabilities. And it really wasn't so much of a situation as it was a person's perspective on that situation who didn't know how to keep their yap shut. Okay? They found plenty of time to tell you about everything that you were doing wrong and how you should have handled things, because hindsight is 20/20 and they've got plenty of it. Okay? And so you've come through a situation where you have dealt with somebody just kind of hammering you with all your faults. And you're coming out of that. You're coming out of that. You are understanding the reality of the situation is, yeah, things didn't go exactly the way I planned them to. But considering what I knew at the time and the tools that I had in my hands at that moment, I did pretty darn good. I did better than most people. And I think you're starting to realize that. I think you're starting to take this person that's been hammering you into the ground a lot less seriously. And I'm hearing that part of the reason you're taking them a lot less seriously is because, quite frankly, their track record is not that good. How can they criticize you when they haven't done what they're telling you you didn't do right? And it's not for lack of trying. I think they've tried and failed in bigger ways than you. And so you're just not taking their opinion of you and their opinion of what you should have done very seriously anymore. You're done with that. You're done with that. You're not saying it, but I would say it for you. Like, how dare they? How dare they try to tell you how you should have done things when they never got it right? No, no. Nay, nay. You guys may not be aggravated by that. That kind of aggravates me. I don't really see you guys being that aggravated. I feel that myself, though. All right. Let's look at something that you stand for. Oh, yeah. So there was somebody that was lying to you, that was feeding you a line of baloney. Baloney. And so you took some time away. You took some time to stop and think things over for yourself. You took some time to really look at the nitty-gritty on your own without the interference of other people's opinions and thoughts and yapping in your ear. You took a break. You took a break from all that. And somebody's criticizing you for taking a break from this. They're criticizing you from getting away as an outright liar so that you could think things through for yourself. Well, who do you think's criticizing you for that? Could it have been the outright liar that didn't want you to take a break from them? Imagine that. And how do they feel about you now? Well, obviously, they feel like you're holding back. They feel like you're holding back from them. They feel like you're not giving them their fair share of attention. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? When you lie to somebody, then you expect them to give you a fair share of attention. And they're feeling bored. They're feeling a little bit restless. They enjoy pushing your buttons and watching your reactions. Well, now you're not reacting, so they're kind of bored. They're feeling a little bit restless. They may move on to somebody else's buttons who they can still push. Heads up, fair warning, if you're attached to this person and their attention, you may not have it long if you don't let them push your buttons. I think you should really think about, is it worth it to have their attention? Let's look at your flex point, Pisces. Flex point for this time frame. Oh yeah, Pisces has their groove on. Look at that. You've gotten to a point where you're feeling successful and where you've got your security. You've got your security figured out and you've got it happening. Not only do you have it happening, I think you've had a lot on your plate. I think we saw that in previous time frames. You're dropping some of the stuff that you have on your plate. Maybe you're dropping one of your extra jobs because you've got security handled now. Maybe you were working so many hours or so many jobs because you were paying off debts that were making you crazy. Now you're feeling pretty secure, so you can walk away from one of those jobs. You're definitely walking away from something where it seemed like you just had so many plates that were in the air. It felt like it was a lot to keep track of. Well, now you're putting one of those plates down and walking away from it because you are feeling secure. You're not feeling the need to keep doing that balancing game. Yep, and I think you're letting somebody know, hey, I'm coming into a nice secure place right now. You're communicating that with somebody. And I feel like there's somebody that they have some kind of agreement with you, an arrangement with you, that once you get to this particular marker or this particular milestone, then they feel like you and them can move forward in some way together, can partner up together on some kind of project. And you're letting them know, hey, I'm in that place. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, Pisces, what else is happening at the same time? I think you're hearing about a marriage. You're hearing about a marriage, and this isn't a marriage that's happening during this particular time frame, but you're hearing about somebody planning a wedding, somebody getting ready to get married. You're hearing about this. Could be a child, could be a close friend, Could even be a parent that's planning on getting married again, or getting married the first time even. What else is going on during this time frame? There's something that you have been doing for a while, and originally you started it as a leap of faith, not knowing where it would end up. I think you're feeling very excited about where it's going right now, and you're focusing on doing more of this in your life. So you're really focused on scaling this up or expanding this in your life. Ba-da-da-da. That could be a relationship. It could also be a business project or a hobby. Could be an Etsy store. That used to be a hobby. Where do we see you at the end of this time frame, Pisces? There's something that you're letting go of. Oh, there was somebody before who was really fickle with you and was not honest with you about that fickleness. Now, this could be like an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, an ex-spouse even, who just kind of disappeared. They went off chasing somebody new. This could also, though, be somebody who was a potential business partner or a business partner that just lost interest in the project and went off and invested in something else completely and just kind of quit. Just kind of quit showing up for whatever you had. And I think that this person thought that what they were doing was something that you didn't realize, but you knew. Somehow you knew. Somebody tipped you off, or your intuition told you. Pisces, you've got strong intuition. Maybe you heard about it through the grapevine. Maybe you heard about it from somebody who unintentionally spilled the beans, not realizing it was a thing. Anyway, you knew what was happening. And I think that you're letting that go. In other words, you're forgiving that. You're not holding on to the negative feelings that you could have from that, because they do burden you down. If you can let go of those negative feelings, it really helps you to move forward with life in a much more happy, positive, productive way. And I think that's what we're seeing you do here at the end of this time frame, Pisces. Okay, so let's wrap this up, take another little break, and we'll come back and do the last little bit of September for you. See you soon. Here we are again, Pisces. We're looking at the last part of September for you this time. This covers September the 24th through September 30th. Let's see what comes up for you. Let's see if any cards flip out before I'm ready to start putting them down this time. We had one flip over, but not flip out. Put him back in the deck. Alright, looks like you're starting to get into a time that doesn't have so much going on in different directions right now. So I don't have a bunch of jumpers this time. Let's see what we have showing up here. Okay, let's start with your environment, Pisces. What's happening here? You guys may be tearing down a fence in your environment. Da, 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 da. Some of you are definitely taking down a fence. And remember, environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. Usually it's home, but it could be other places as well. But there's something about borders or boundaries coming down. Okay? I think you have mixed feelings about this idea too. I think that some of you are thinking this is a bad idea. This is exactly not what you want. But at the same time, you're hopeful that it's going to bring in some results that you actually like. So definitely mixed emotions about that. But there's something coming in about borders or boundaries coming down for your environment. Very interesting. Next thing that we have coming up talks to me about your subconscious leanings, Pisces. You definitely have manifestation on the mind. You're looking at how can you manifest something, and it looks to me like you want to manifest a fair ending of something, a fair and equal ending of something that you have going on in your life. And so subconsciously you're working on, okay, how can I manifest this to make sure that I can bring about this ending, and I can bring it about in a fair way without a bunch of maliciousness or drama, just a nice fair ending. And so that's what your subconscious is working on. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da. Okay, next thing that we're looking at talks to me about your learning style during this particular time frame, Pisces. There is a lot of emotion around some of the things that you're learning right now. I think that you are trying to find out some things that you're hoping will make you happy, that you're hoping will light you up and help you to understand what your path is moving forward. What's the best thing for you to do right now? There is something going on that makes you very sad or unsatisfied, basically, is the word Spirit telling me. And I think this is an event that occurred, and I think you're not getting a lot of information around this event. This is something that somebody has told you, but you don't understand why this is happening or what's going on that has kicked this off. I do still have you coming up as learning a lot of things in a very vague way, not in a way that you can use the information specifically where the rubber meets the road, but these things are things that you're curious about, and you're just learning them through observation. Now, let's look at communication style. There is lots of communication going on right now between yourself and between other people, a lot going back, and I do feel like this is not just between you and one person. You're communicating with a lot of different people right now, and I feel like these communications may have to do with business or with network having to do with work, support network at work. There is some information that you're not talking about, that you're being very protective about, and you're not sharing with just anybody, only with whoever is in your very closest inner circle. And I feel like you're taking some time to really reflect for yourself and more communicate with yourself about some things that are happening in your life that are emotional, and about what you're learning from this and where this is taking you. Where are your reactions to this taking you, or your responses to this taking you? What is your next step here? And this all has to do with your emotions. That you're, like I said, I think you're communicating more with yourself about this. So you could be journaling, or you could just be really reflecting and deciding, coming up with a game plan, and letting yourself know what it is. Maybe you're writing out steps. Take care of this, look at this, you know. But it's communication with yourself, definitely, about your feelings. Interesting times for the Pisces right now. All right, let's look next at work. Work just seems like a really confusing place lately. I don't have that you're so much confused about what's going on there this time, as much as I have this idea that there's a lot of indecision. And I feel like this is indecision at work. I feel like these are your higher ups that just are like, they just don't know what direction to take, or what they're going to do next, or how to handle the situation right now. And I think that, you know, there's not a lot of talk going back and forth. I think they're a little bit at a loss here. They're a little bit at a loss here. And I think that you are definitely picking up on that energy. That's not the kind of energy that makes somebody comfortable about the place that they work at, let me tell you. Inner work. I think you're realizing that you're not living up to your full potential. Maybe you feel like you know what your calling is, but you're not following that calling. Or maybe you know that you could be doing more, you could be doing bigger things, you could be doing better things, and you're realizing that you're not living up to your full potential. Now, this doesn't show you taking action on that just yet, but generally when we come to that realization, it's just a matter of time before we start looking at, okay, well, how can I live to my full potential? Do I need to change jobs? Do I need to change where I live? Do I need to focus more on spiritual things? Do I need to focus more on my skills and talents that I already know that I have? Do I need to develop this thing over here? So right now, I think you're just identifying this idea that I'm not living up to my full potential. I don't think you're finding that platform where you can just yet. But the fact of identifying it does mean that's just a matter of time. All right. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about that part of your personality which is being grown or expanded during this particular time frame. For some of you, I'm going to tell you that you guys are kind of at wit's end with your marriage or with your partnership. That you're kind of out of ideas about how to make it work at this point. For those of you that I'm not talking about your marriage or your partnership, this would be a different type of partnership or contract, potentially having to do with work, possibly having to do with where you live. But there's some kind of agreement or contract that's in a partnership or a group of people, if not two, that you're just out of ideas on how to make it work. It's not working. And you're out of ideas. And where you're growing and expanding is coming to the point of saying, I've done everything I know how to do. I don't know what else to do. Next thing that we have showing up for you, Pisces, talks to me about those things that you stand for. It looks to me like there's somebody in your sphere of influence who has a lot of integrity. There's somebody that they're a good friend to have in your corner. They're not going to throw you under the bus. They have high standards, not only for themselves, but also for you as well and for all the people around them. And as long as you live up to those standards, they will back you 1,000%. And it seems to me like there's somebody, maybe even a child, who feels like nitpicking at this person and just making this person's life, well, I'm hearing miserable, but hard. And it looks like this young person has been sort of holding back for a while, but now all of a sudden they feel like, oh, I've got the go-ahead. I can get away with this. I'm not sure what you're standing up for here. If you're standing up for the idea that this young child is making somebody's life miserable and that it's justified, or if you're standing up for this person who has integrity that has this little one, or this younger person who's attacking them, I'm not sure who you're standing up for here. What part of that you're standing up for, Pisces? But whoever you're standing up for this situation to, they feel like you're not very invested in the situation. So maybe you're a spectator in this situation, but they do feel like you do carry some kind of responsibility. It may be that you're the mother of this little one that's now attacking this person that does have great integrity. And so they feel like you carry the responsibility of sort of setting this little one on a track to respect somebody who has integrity, not treat them like they're somebody who has been horrible to them or has been horrible to somebody else. So this other person is feeling like it's your job to get this on a good track again, to get this set straight. All right. Let's look at what's going on during this flex time frame. Looks to me like you're being really patient. You have a situation where there's somebody that you're starting to understand and you're starting to feel some empathy for. You may even be feeling a little bit like you may be falling in love with them, or you may just love them, but you have strong feelings for this person. And I feel like you're being very patient with them. You're waiting for them when it comes to something here. What else is going on during this time frame? I feel like this is a little person that you really love. So maybe not in love, but somebody that, you know, that you love, that you care about. At the same time, I see your self-esteem taking a major hit here, Pisces, because there is somebody in your life that you consider to be somebody who is stable, or at least you did consider them to be somebody who's stable, who is sort of, I'm going to say, sort of attacking you. It's probably a him. If it's not a him, it's a more assertive female. But this is somebody who I feel like is attacking you verbally, and I think this is what is making your self-esteem low. I feel like there's this sense of betrayal because of the things that this person has said or that they've done. For most of you, though, I feel like it's a verbal attack that comes from them. What else is happening at the same time? Yeah, it looks to me like you've decided that you don't want to collaborate with somebody in your sphere right now because there's just so much that's being said back and forth. There's so much gossip. There's so much crazy talk is what I'm hearing. There's so much going around verbally. Verbal diarrhea, that you've decided that, you know what, this is just ridiculous. It's not worth me collaborating with this person to have all this stuff being said. And so you're spending some time alone, really thinking things through. But at the same time, I think you're missing this other person. I don't think anything really is happening that's being gossiped about or said. But you just kind of want to keep the gossip down. So you're not collaborating with them, but you're missing them. They're like, you know, they're probably a good friend. And it doesn't seem like a very fair situation to me. So where do we have you at the end of this month, Pisces? I'm seeing that you are making some plans for the future. You want to have some security in your life. You may even be moving or trying to move. I'm seeing that you're struggling with these plans that you're making. I do feel like there are plans actually to move, and I feel like you're struggling with these plans because you're not exactly sure how you're going to pull this off. It looks to me like you feel like you need to move. You're just not exactly sure how to make that happen. So, you know, when we're not sure how to, that's a temporary thing. We start asking questions, we start finding those answers. I don't think you're going to be in this unsure place for very long. Okay? But that is where I see you once we come to the end of the month, Pisces. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here, for investing some of your time and energy in watching this video. Thank you to those of you who are putting the thumbs ups on it, who are commenting, who are sharing, those of you who are subscribing. And of course, last but not least, thank you to those of you who are ordering the private readings and the Reiki sessions from me. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you very much. And then everybody have a fantastic month. If I don't see you here for a private reading or a private Reiki session before then I'll see you all on the next video. Peace out.